Welcome to the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. Jeff DiVeronica with my co-host Steve Bradley. And you don't know this, folks, because you're watching this whenever you want to watch it on demand. But I feel like this is back in the old days, Steve. It's a Saturday morning where we're doing this interview, and I feel like I was getting ready to head to the studio and be on the radio. But now we are on YouTube and the Rock Sports Now channel. And our special guest this morning, as we record this, the Newark Reds girls basketball team with their head coach, Back to the Future, Diane Kirnie, and it's a special weekend for her. We'll tell you about that in a minute. But also two key players for the Reds: TaKyla Vaughn, a very impressive young sophomore player, and Ciana Galvin, one of the senior leaders for Newark, which, as we record this, comes in with a 4-6 record, but coming off a big win on Friday night at home over Penyan, 65-43. And Steve, a special one, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was worried you were going to bury the lead there, Jeff. But Coach Kirnie, second week in a row, we've had a history maker on the program. She became the 9th coach in Section 5 girls basketball history to reach the 400 win
Mr.
milestone.
Bradley, my mistake on the tweet. She's actually the 10th coach.
10th.
My tweet, I corrected it. Yeah, I beg your pardon.
Okay, 10th coach, but a milestone win last night over Penyan. Big game for TaKyla, 31 points, 10 rebounds. Ciana was all over the stat sheet, 5 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. So nice win for the Reds, and Coach Kirnie's back in the fold after taking about 10 years off. So a lot of conversation pieces here this morning.
So first, congrats, Coach, on the big win. And let's start with the obvious question. 10 years away from a head coach at Newark, where you spent 25 seasons and had about 390 plus wins. Why are you back?
I was actually back last year.
Wow. Okay.
This is my second year.
How much out of the loop we are, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so we won 9 games last year. So I needed 4 this year to get to that point. But I came back last year, and to be with these girls who have quite a bit of potential.
What did you miss about it while you were gone?
Well, my husband is the JV coach, and he's still the JV coach. And, I kept up on the team and would go to a number of games, but, I still had that passion to coach. And the girls that are on the team are kids that I had as students when I was still teaching back at the intermediate school in Newark. So I was familiar with the kids, and, just kind of missed it, had the itch to get back.
TaKyla, what's it like playing for Coach Kirnie, somebody that's had so much success and won a state title, and then, sees potential in you and your group to come back and cares enough to come back and coach again?
I would say it's nice. Like, I like playing for Kirnie. She's a great coach. Like, when I'm feeling down, like, she tells me what to do. Like, I'll have times in a game where I go in the locker room and be upset, and she tells me to pick my head up. And then I pick my head up in second quarter, I'll come back and be the same me. It's just great playing for a team where people can all bond together. And it's not like there's just separate groups of people. Like you go play over here, we're over here. It's just great all having us together, and Kirnie makes that happen.
Ciana, you're one of the seniors on this team, and you've had some close losses. I think 4 of your 6 losses are by 9 points or fewer. But I think you've won a couple in a row now. So what has this group learned over the last few weeks about what it takes in those games? Not that it wasn't a close one last night, but and we'll also talk about the classy move by Penyan getting that game into Newark's gymnasium. But Ciana, what is this group learning about what it takes to win the close ones?
To slow our pace down. Coach always talks about how if we move the ball quicker and get it around, that we can open up the court to get it into our big man. So just slowing down and staying calm really does a better job for us, rather than trying to rush the ball up the court and just throwing up crazy shots.
And we always like to kind of throw the spotlight on the guests on the program. TaKyla obviously coming off a big game last night. What did TaKyla and Ciana bring to the program?
Ciana is our she got kind of thrown into being our point guard this year. She's really more of a 3 guard. Knowing that she had to do that, and as a senior, she spent her AAU season and her summer really working to step up into that role. So we looked at her for a lot of leadership, and, she's a senior, and she brings that leadership. And there's nights where, she can score a lot, but there's nights where I just need her to run the show and make sure, everyone's doing what they're supposed to do and take control out there. TaKyla is just, she's really coming into her game as a sophomore. I brought her up last year, partway through the season. And she's just so athletic. And, both of you guys remember that our teams from back, and this young lady reminds me a lot of Shakista Wolfa. She not only looks like her. First time I ever met her, I was like, "Are you related to Shakista?" Because she reminds me of her.
I was thinking the same thing when she popped up on the Zoom, Diane. I was like, wait a minute, did I just go into a time machine? 2 hours Back to the Future. And I took a trip down memory lane. I went and did a lot of research this morning, so we're going to talk about that in our second segment. But yeah, you look like you could be Shakista, and the numbers are starting to match up too.
And she can jump out of the gym like Shakista could too. So I had, after one of our games, John Lorenzetti did a game, and he was talking about TaKyla, and he goes, "You know who she reminds me of?" I go, "Yeah, I do know who she reminds you of." But I think we're just starting to tap in on TaKyla's potential, because she's so athletic, and she works really hard, and basketball is really important to both of these young ladies. And they actually play together in the summer on AAU team. So there's a nice bond there with those two as well. But
quick shout out. I know Brooklyn Graham had 12 points in the win over Penn Yan, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. And Ciana, we mentioned you had a great 5 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. So obviously there, and you got a sophomore center too, Malia Brown. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Malia, are there other Go ahead.
Yeah, Malia's like a forward guard. She's not really a center, but
I think the roster's a center, but okay. She
maybe does. Okay.
Any other key players in the rotation we should mention, Coach?
Well, first of all, Brooklyn played her best game that she's played of the season. We've been trying to push her a little bit harder. We have another sophomore, and we bring her off the bench, and she's Naomi Jones. She's been a little bit quiet the last few games, but she's kind of our big 3-point gun. And when she gets hot, she can literally she can light it up. She had 3 last night, but she does a lot of other things. She's good size. Defensively, she does well, and can block shots and grab rebounds, and she can handle the ball. So she's somebody else that we are, working with to step up. So we've got a pretty good, core of sophomores on the team right now. So
Ciana, back when I was in high school, I was fortunate enough to play in a game where my coach won his 200th game. Your coach won her 400th game last night. How much pride do you take in being that part of history, knowing that only 9 other coaches have gotten there?
I take a lot of pride in it, actually, because Coach deserves it, and we all work really hard to win these type of games. So I take a lot of pride in it.
TaKyla, let me ask you. You played for Coach Bill, her husband, right, for JV. Are they like as coaches? Are they different as coaches? How would you compare the two coaches at Newark?
I wouldn't say they're alike. They're totally different people. I love Mr. Kirnie, but he's like more of like a goofy person. And it's fun. It's really fun playing for him. I got a great time on JV. And when I got to varsity, it was like a really different thing with Miss Kirnie. It was so different. I just didn't know how to react.
Thanks.
TaKyla, and I just wanted to follow up on what a little bit earlier in the conversation. Your name was compared with Shakista Wolfolk, who's one of the great players in school history. How does that feel? And does that motivate you to do that? Or are you pretty driven on your own?
Yeah, a lot of people always come up to me and ask me if Shakista's my aunt or cousin, and we're not related at all. Our families are close, but I mean, it feels good to know that people compare me to a great player that used to play back in Newark. It's it feels really good. I had a conversation with Shakista the other day, and she helps me with the stuff and my mindset. And it's just like a great thing to hear people say when they come up to me and say that to me.
Okay, so you said you had a conversation. I got to follow up. Where did you talk to Shakista Woolfolk?
My brothers play basketball for like rec in Newark, so she's always there. And like like I said, our families are like close friends. So I mean, like I've had conversations with Shakista in the past. Like I just talked to her about basketball stuff and like, you know, because people say like, are you Shakista? Like I get those questions all the time.
Diane,
Cool.
we're about halfway through the season, and your team has shown growth and potential. And January a lot of times where teams really find their identity and figure out who they are going towards the postseason. So in the next 4 or 5 weeks, what are the points of emphasis to get the most out of this team that you can get?
Well, I think we're starting to like you said, we've lost some games against good teams, but not by much. Where last year against these same teams like Pelmac and Minders and even Penn Yan, we were getting beat by 20 points, 25 points, and now we're in the game with these teams. So the thing I've been stressing with my team, with the girls, is that we're right there and we're right on the edge of just taking that next step to be in that mix with them. And that's really what our goal is and what our focus is. In our league, Waterloo is awfully good, but teams like, Pelmac and Minders and Mid Lakes, we can play with them, where last year we weren't in the conversation. We had Mid Lakes right there. We were up at one point last week, and it's like a mistake here, a mental mistake, or a turnover here or there at key points that change the game. So that's kind of where we're focusing and where we want to be, and finish the best we can in the league. And then we're looking towards getting ready for sectionals and seeing what we can do, because last year we were able to get to the semifinals and sectionals, which was what my goal was with these girls, to have them experience that environment. And we ran up against Hornell, which is a really good team, but they were there. And Ciana, who we call CC, she was she made the all tournament team last year for us, and that was a big step for this group of kids, to be able to experience that. So hopefully we can get back there this year.
Well, I can tell you from doing my research and also my memory, there was a time, I think the game was in Blue Cross Arena, where a young Newark squad got hammered by HFL, Honey Falls Lima.
Yep.
Team probably that went on to win the state championship. I think that might have been the year they did that.
They did, yeah.
In fact, Newark, a couple times, now that you say that, there's at least twice now that Newark lost in sectionals to the team that went on to win states. So Sutherland did it to you too once.
Mm-hmm.
But the message here to TaKyla and the younger players, and also to your senior here, who is helping lay the foundation for this group, is that team got blitzed. And a couple years later, that was the team that won sectionals and then went on to win states. So you take your lumps now, you figure out where you learn, and I'm sure this is what coaches told you, and then you'll have the fruits of your labor down the road. So TaKyla and Ciana, is that how you say it, Ciana or Ciana?
It's Ciana.
Ciana, thank you so much for being on our show in our first segment here. We're going to take a quick break. We appreciate it. Good luck to you, ladies.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break, come back, talk more with Diane Kirnie right here on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show.
Looking for a used truck? Can you find one out of 350? At BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com, you'll find one. Love SUVs? 800 are waiting for you to take one home at BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com. Add 350 pre-owned sedans, and you've got a total of 1,500 used vehicles only at BobJohnsonAutoGroup.com.
Bob Johnson's got you right. Bob Johnson.
While we celebrate 140 years of serving our community, the kind of delicious joy that lasts a lifetime, we look forward to serving you for 140 more. With hardworking, wholehearted, passionate people who will help shape new memories for generations to come.
You don't choose to get hurt at work, but you can choose the workers' comp attorneys at Connors and Ferris to fight for your money and medical benefits you deserve.
With over 20 years of industry experience, we will give your case our undivided attention so that you and your family can focus on your recovery.
So call Connors and Ferris, the workers' comp attorneys dedicated to fighting for injured workers' rights.
Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys.
The best three things here at McQuaid are definitely the sports, the brotherhood, and the service to community. I think that's a really big, important thing that McQuaid stresses, which is part of creating a better and great man. You definitely feel a connection with your fellow students here. It's being all guys school. You're able to relate to each other on a personal level, and everyone's very welcoming here with open arms and willing to be your friend.
Hi, this is Jeff DiVeronica. I'd like to tell you about my friends from Doyle Security. We lost my father-in-law a few years ago, and that meant my mother-in-law was going to be alone in her house. One of my first calls was to Doyle. Doyle has an award-winning burglary detection system, and that gave her peace of mind again. It gave her comfort. These days, you can't put a price tag on that. Whether it's for your family or yourself, at any stage of your life, Doyle is there for you. For seniors, Doyle offers a personally enabled GPS emergency response system. They have a full array of smart systems, including fire and carbon monoxide detection, security cameras, and more for your home or business. More than 35,000 families and businesses rely on Doyle every day and every night. Family owned and operated for more than 100 years, you don't have that kind of staying power unless you're doing something right. To learn more, call 1-866-GO-DOYLE or visit godoyle.com.
Sweet baby.
Local McDonald's operators care about our local schools, teams, and student athletes. That's why they support the return of high school athletics in the Rochester area and around the state. See you before or after the big game at McDonald's. Welcome back, Section 5. Game on!
Protecting your home's worth pays off when you trust the experienced team at American Custom. We've all seen our homes go up in value, making home improvements a wise choice. If you think your home is worth a lot now, just wait until our team is done with it. Call American today.
Welcome back to the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. Jeff DiVeronica and Steve Bradley. We've been doing this a long time, and the coach at Newark, the new again, old again coach, Diane Kirnie, won her 400th game as we record this last night. She won.
Friday the 13th, Jeff. No superstitions.
Right, and they beat Penn Yan 65-43. And a cool thing happened. I don't know how quickly it happened, but Steve, tell our viewers what happened.
Well, the game was originally scheduled to be played at Penn Yan, and I want Diane to expound on this a little bit. But then, out of a classy move, I think the Penn Yan folks realized that there was a chance for some history to be made, and the offer was extended to have that game played at Newark. So, Diane, how did all that come together, and what did it mean to you to have that milestone win on your home court?
Well, first of all, yeah, I was not involved in the actual orchestrating of this, and I give all the credit to our new athletic director, John Maston. I was notified that the game had been switched, and Penn Yan does not have a JV team this year, and so my JVs had to pick up a couple games. So they were scheduled to play Aquinas last night at Newark, and we were scheduled to go to Penn Yan and play at 6 o'clock at the same time. And I had hoped to get this taken care of against the Mid-Lakes. And when we walked out of school on Friday, I said to my husband, well, that stinks because you're not even going to be able to be there for my game. You know, if I win this thing and go to Penn Yan. And he said, oh, John's already taken care of that or something like that. And so John called Penn Yan and asked if we could switch sites, and they were great. So we played, the JVs actually played Aquinas before us, and then Penn Yan came in. I got a little nervous because John got a call from maybe the AD, and Penn Yan's bus was off the road and in a field and stuck on the way to our game last night. Something to the effect that they missed the turn and the bus drivers tried to turn around and backed up into a field and had a hard time getting out, and was somewhere very close to like a garage that, does work on vehicles or whatever. And I don't know, they got some help from somebody and they got there on time. And we totally appreciate that. It was nice because my son was able to be there, and I had some former players in the stands, and it was just nice to have that all done and be able to be at Newark for that. We really appreciate Penn Yan for making that switch.
Well, I'm not sure if I ruined the surprise, but we have a surprise for you, Coach.
I see that.
You saw it, and there she is.
There's my girl.
Speaking of former players, right?
There she is, Alyssa Fenyn, arguably the greatest player in Newark history. I would argue that with anybody if they want to challenge that one. 2,499 points, all Greater Rochester Player of the Year, played at Virginia Tech, and I went in my research this morning, compared to Magic Johnson multiple times by Todd Julian of Mendon. I kept on seeing that pop up. I'm like, oh, Magic Johnson. So Alyssa, welcome, and there's your coach. What do you want to tell her?
I'm just so proud of you. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there last night. I play basketball with John, the new Newark AD, in the mornings. We play at Pinnacle here in Victor, and it's been a crazy 2 weeks. I mean, he had me almost driving out to Bath. I mean, I was, going to go wherever to see this 400th win. Obviously, it's amazing that, Penn Yan was able to get it moved into Newark last night. Like I said, unfortunately, I was unable to make it due to a scheduling conflict, but he explained how Wednesday they're going to do a little something for a coach before the game. So I'll definitely be there for that, home against Wayne. But Coach, I'm just so proud of you. I mean, that is just such a huge accomplishment. The more you think about it and dive into it. Now, I'm not sure where that ranks on the list of all-time great coaches, but like I said, it's just I'm just so proud and humbled to be a small part of it. I mean, like I said, I was talking to the new Newark AD, and I was I'm like, I am such a small part of this. I mean, I'm so honored to be a part of it. But when I really sit back and think about it, I'm like, man, growing up, that's all I watched, right? I watched you. I watched, Katie Burgess, Amanda Baker. You watch Sarah Wildars. I mean, I think how far back this goes, and just the impact you've had on Newark, and stats and numbers, they don't lie, right? So this is huge. I think you should be celebrated so much for this. I mean, it's very exciting. I'm very excited. I woke up, I was texting John last night. He was sending me pictures, and I'm like, oh, yes, finally got it done.
Alyssa, you're pretty humble though, because you were actually more than a small part of this. Your teams won 103-19. So over 25% of coaches' wins at Newark, you were a part of. And now class of 2009, Jeff and I talk about this a lot. We consider your era to be kind of the golden era of girls basketball in Section 5. There were so many good players at that time. What are the life lessons that you learned from Coach that you still carry on with you today?
Oh my gosh. I mean, toughness. I can't say enough. Mental toughness, and just like, as I know I answered that fast, but that's just a no-brainer for me. I mean, just as as I move forward and in college and in life, really, I can just see that separation I have. And I truly think that's due to my experience with Coach Kirnie and my experience playing basketball under her. I truly believe that just comparing myself to other people. It's like I said, especially getting into college. I mean, I came into Virginia Tech with 5 other freshmen, and just the different, like I said, the different amount of the toughness level, when you get to that level, as everybody's good. Everybody was the best on their team in high school, and, holds all records in their own way. But just the slight little edge that you can get at that point. And I truly think that I received that through her coaching. I mean, I can tell you story after story where, she was, like I said, feared, but respected, not in you're scared of her type of way. But I think that's something to be said. And I think that, like I said, she earned that level of respect, and rightfully so.
Coach, tell our audience about this player, former player. She's in her, I guess you gotta be in your 30s now, right, Alyssa?
31.
But you can tell it better than me. She could do it all, right?
Yeah, second all-time leading scorer in Section 5 too. 2,499 points. That's a lot of points.
Yeah,
Go on.
we like to kid her that if she could have just made one more foul shot, she would have had, 2,500, but the 24.99 is kind of an interesting number for her. But I've known Alyssa, in Newark, I taught intermediate phys ed, so I've known her since she was in 4th grade, and all my players that I had coming up through, it was kind of nice because I had a relationship with kids before they ever got to play for me, and we had Alyssa up for sectionals as a 7th grader, and then a 5-year starter for, from 8th grade on, and, and she was on that team that you were talking about earlier that we went and got our butts kicked by HFL, but we were in the finals, her 8th, I think it was your 8th grade year, Les.
Yeah.
And,
in Blue Cross Arena too, right?
And Blue Cross Arena,
Yeah.
which was, a great experience. And then the only thing we were getting beat at halftime, and obviously, but the only thing I told them at halftime was, you're better than what you're showing people. Just go out and just go out and play and enjoy this. And I think we actually might have outscored them that 3rd quarter of that game. Alyssa's a great ambassador for our game and for our program. And, I would agree with you, like girls basketball back when Alyssa played across the board was just at such a higher level than it is right now for whatever reason. I mean, it was just the premier players coming out were phenomenal. We battled with Mendon and, constantly.
Not forget School of the Arts. I again did my research.
School of the Arts.
2007, right? A sophomore year.
Yep.
Yeah, you're sophomores. You guys went all the way to the state semis, but you had to beat School of the Arts with Marche White and Emma Cannon. And I think in the championship game, they had 26 and 28, if I remember correctly from this morning. They had 54 points and you beat them. Just a tremendous group of talent in Section 5 back then. I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't know if it's the distractions that exist in today's world. Maybe, and Alyssa, I know you do some training of young athletes too. Maybe you can lend some insight into this, but are kids not practicing or training as hard? They have more opportunities to train, have specialized training, but I don't know what the reason is why the level of play isn't what it used to be. So any idea there?
Like you said, we do work with athletes at our facility. I don't know. I don't know if it's our area, to be honest with you. I don't know if people in this area are focusing more on lacrosse, if you will. I find that, a lot of girls are gung-ho that, from the second grade, they're working with a lacrosse stick now. And I think that, I dare to say it's like, the lack of skill development. I think about like growing up and God, we were, we did like skills and drills. And I think that's a testament to the Newark program. I mean, we've always been known as a basketball school. And I think that there was programs in place for skill development. I just see that very lost nowadays. And I don't know if it's, like I said, I don't know if it's just our area that's focused more on lacrosse versus basketball, not because it's an easier route to get a scholarship, but I just find that, yeah, I'm not sure how to pinpoint that one. Obviously it's very known across the board, however, in terms of, lack of talent in our area currently.
And we're not dogging the kids today. It is what it is.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Coach, what are your thoughts? You have any thoughts on that, Coach?
Some of it I think too, we seem to have more kids than ever playing AAUs.
Mhm.
But I think when you go play AAUs, the focus is on playing games. I don't think their practices are to get kids together and I don't know what they do in practice, but it's not, I don't think there's as much skill development like Alyssa was saying, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I think you have people focusing on coaching AAUs and winning games and not developing players. And there's a big difference between that, and kids do get pulled in a lot of different directions, and you want your players, not all my players, basketball is not their number one priority, but you still want them to, give you some time in the off season and work on their skills. And kids are less apt to do that these days.
Alyssa, it seems like you alluded to coaching you and not being afraid to have those difficult conversations. And you were obviously one of the best players in Section 5. And sometimes people shy away from having that conversation with the best player that you need to do this and you need to do that. how do you recall any specific, like a gotcha moment where she told you what you needed to hear, even if it wasn't necessarily what you wanted to hear?
I mean, yeah.
Multiple times, right?
Is there one that stands out that it's like that
Oh
gotcha
my
moment
God.
where like, hey, coach, why are you telling me this now? And then now as an adult, you're like, wow, I really needed that.
Gosh, like I said, I've had so many moments like that. You know, when I went up for, I think I was in 7th grade when I went up for a right or a left hand layup on the left side. I went up with my right hand, you know, and just like little things like, you know, just getting reamed out for that. You know, you're too good for that. You have to learn how to use your left hand. I don't care if you miss it. I don't care if it goes over the backboard. Like, you're going to use your left hand on the left side, you know? And like, for me, I'm like, well, I made it, you know?
That's okay. So yeah, this conversation Alyssa and I had when she was a freshman is, where do you want to go with basketball? And she said, I want to play at the highest level I can play at, Division I. You know, she's not interested in being a mid-major or whatever. She want to go to a major school, you know? And I said, well, that's what I need to know so that I can help get you there. You know, and every day in practice, it was like, I pushed all of them, in the whole team actually, but you know, specifically her too, pushed her every day in practice to be better. We never sat back and like, oh, we're playing a team that's not very good, so we can just cruise this week. You know, my philosophy with the team was, no, we're getting ready for Mendon or whoever we're going to play in sectionals. I don't care if it's January right now, you know. But that was a pretty telling time with her, you know, when she's like, this is what I want to do. I said, okay, this is where that's what I need to know so we can help get you there, you know. And I did push her pretty hard, you know, and she's a kid too, like, I think freshman year, I'm like, you know, we do personal goals and stuff. What's your goal? She just came in and sat there and looked at me and goes, first team AGR. Like, okay, is that it? Yep, first team AGR. I was like, okay, pretty cut and dry. We know where you want to go, what you want to do, you know, the whole all league stuff and all that, that'll all fall into place. But that was where, you know, her mindset was. And the nice thing about Alyssa is that as the best player on the floor in practice, worked harder than anybody else and set the tone for our practice. You know, she didn't have to say a lot, but you know, if she's working that hard and she's that good a player, it made everybody else play hard.
You know what? And again, doing my research, I went back and relived some of the memories this morning. The cool thing about that team was, and it'll never happen again, I don't think, there were 3 players on the team that had over 1,200 points. Marissa Bunch, Shakista Woolfolk, and Alyssa Fenyn. They grew up together, right? One of them went to 2,499 points, and Shakista ended up with around 1,500 points, somewhere more than that, actually, and about 750 rebounds. So that probably won't ever happen again, which is pretty cool. But Alyssa, I want to ask you about this. You don't win a state title if your teammates didn't pull the weight at the end of that game, because I went back and looked, you fouled out of the state championship game with 1:50 to play. I can't remember how close it was, but obviously it was close because that was my lead about how she's played a lot of roles in her career, you know, leading scorer, point guard, point forward, center, defensive specialist. And now she had to be a cheerleader, her final role in the state championship game. What do you remember about fouling out and looking out and saying and thinking, now you're helpless? How, you know, your teammates pulled you guys through. What do you remember about that moment?
I feel like that moment was perfectly captured in that photo that Coach and I have together. Yep. It's, you know, it's me biting my jersey and her walking behind me like. No, I remember everything about that game, to be honest with you. And I remember sitting on the bench and all us players locking arms. And like you said, it's so like you said, just like reliving these moments. I mean, I remember, you know, Marissa Bunce being huge at the free throw line at the end of that game, and you know, Sarah Tanay knocked a few in, and it's just like, that is truly when I talk about like your high school days and like the pride that you have. I mean, like, I'm, you know, obviously the same age as these girls. I'm just like so proud to sit there and watch it. And like, yes, I was nervous and a cheerleader, but just so confident in what they were doing out there. You know, I just feel like we were so prepared, and like, that was just our time, you know, like they just stepped up there unconsciously and just knocked down the free throws. And yeah, like you said, I'm not used to being there, like, you know, just kind of uncontrollables for me. But like I said, never doubted my teammates in that realm at all.
Marissa Bunch still coaching on the staff at Roberts Wesleyan, Jeff. So she's still heavily involved in the game. We've talked about this a little bit, and I know we're getting close on time, but Alyssa, how important was it for you to have that strong female role model? We talked about the, kind of the disparity that there's a lot of more male coaches and female coaches in girls sports, and how young women can benefit from having a female role model in a position of leadership. So how important was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a huge thing nowadays. Like you said, it's pretty male dominant in terms of coaching. I've experienced both, obviously. My first 2 years at Virginia Tech, I had a female coach. We had a coaching change between my sophomore and junior year, switched to a male. So I'm used to both, I guess you would say, but to have a female figure, especially, like Coach Kirnie, like I said, somebody I've looked up to, and not even before I played, or somebody I've looked up to in her program years before I even got involved. I think that's huge, and I think that we need more of that. Just like somebody positive to look up, like you said, to look up to, and in terms of being able to relate to players, I think is huge. And I'm not saying that male coaches can't as well. All I'm saying is that it's different. It's different with a female, and like I said, it's she can sit back, and girls are a lot more emotional than and can relate in that aspect. I'm really quick, kind of irrelevant, but I can never forget when we had that coaching change between my sophomore and junior year. Our coach actually came over he was on the men's basketball side for years, and a down and back sprint usually pretty fast is 11 to 12 seconds, and he gets up there, grabs a stopwatch, and he's like, all right, you guys got 8 seconds, go, right? Like, nobody on our team got it, right? Like, and we're running pretty fast, right? Like down and back. But it's just like, it's little things like that. And he couldn't understand why we couldn't get that. And I'm like, well, girls and guys are different, it's just like, you're mentally, physically, all of the above. So I think having a female figure, like I said, just being able to relate to the player a little more.
Well, you're talking to two girl dads right here. I can
there
tell
you
you
go.
that,
There you go.
My daughter's 9, and this morning on the way to dance, I said, well, at school, let's try to see if she'll go upstairs and get ready all by herself, and I don't have to go up there and say, get this, get that. And she didn't do it in time. We were late to dance, and I said, well, you failed the test. And then the tears started, and I'm like, what's wrong? Like, you yelled at me. I said, well, I didn't yell at you. I just said you failed. And I didn't
exactly.
I said a little more emotion than I'm saying. And I don't think she'd react that way to her mother. So yeah. I'm trying to toughen her up.
I don't think her mother would have said it that way either, to be honest.
Probably not.
Exactly.
Here's the girl dad lesson for this morning. My daughter turns 18 today, and I've got Taylor Swift hanging all through the kitchen. Jeff, it's not what you say.
It's how you say.
Choose your words carefully.
I'm learning that, and it's tough to turn off the Italian emotion when I have to. So, well, this has been fun, Diane and Alyssa. Thank you so much for being part of the show and kind of going a little deeper into the psyche of coaching and fatherhood. Apparently,
yeah, I know we covered it all.
Can I just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
So, I thought I was going to get this 400 a little bit sooner, but it came around, and Friday the 13th, I knew it was going to happen because Alyssa wore number 13. I was thinking about her, and I'm like, no, this is good for me. This is a good luck charm. And I was thinking this morning that I was coming home from an appointment. I'm like, Alyssa, in her group, Alyssa's, is responsible or has a part in like over 100 of these wins. So I was thinking about you this morning, Les. So,
Coach, I played basketball with Coach John, the new Newark AD yesterday morning, and we were talking. I'm like, he was like saying how he got the game switched, and I'm like, it can't be tonight. The one time I have an obligation, I'm like, can't be tonight. Not that I didn't want you to get it, obviously. But he was saying how you're gonna get. I know. I'm like, she's over here like, oh, Friday the 13th, and I'm like, oh no, don't get tonight. No.
Thanks a
lot.
See,
all you media people, you want to do a follow-up story? There's your lead right there. Friday the 13th, the best player in school history wore jersey number 13, and she got 400 win. It's 103 wins and 19 losses in your 5 seasons. And I'll go back and see what Shanice Momo Johnson won over a rush, but I don't think she had 103 wins. You're talking about 320 win seasons, 225 win seasons for Newark.
25 win seasons, yeah.
Yeah, and a 20-4 when you were a junior, and then 16-7 as an 8th grader, 17-4 as a freshman. So really impressive career. And I know we had you on once before, Alyssa, but thanks for making the time. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And Coach, I'll see you Wednesday, and I can't wait to celebrate you some more. I mean, like I said, really enjoy this, soak it in. It's a huge accomplishment. Seriously.
Thanks, kid.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I'll
There's
see
going to
you.
be a ceremony at Wednesday's game, and we'll
Yes,
try to get
Wednesday
this out.
home against Wayne.
Okay, we'll try to get this posted on Tuesday then, so
Awesome.
we can tell the people about it. All right.
Awesome. Yep. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having
Have a
me.
great weekend, everybody. Go Bills.
Yep.
Thank you.
Go Bills. Oh, she's a Cleveland fan. Don't
We're all
say that.
fans.